Welcome to the General Administration of Traffic and the Licenses Affairs Department. Holotech Group also welcomes you to the self-service program of the Unified Theoretical and Electronic Training. Traffic signs. While driving on the road, the driver notices the presence of a large number of different shapes and colors of road signs, which are installed on poles on the sides of the streets and intersections. Traffic signs are placed in order to inform drivers of an important information that facilitates his use of the road on which he is driving, and to avoid the occurrence of an accident that may endanger his life and the lives of others. Let's start learning driving in the right way to reach a combination of both safe and professional driving on our country's roads. Let the tour begin. Driving licenses. Article 29 of Traffic Law number 19 of 2007 states that driving of any motor vehicle on the road shall take place only after obtaining a license from the licensing authority, entitling the holder to drive such a vehicle. Types of driving licenses. Driving licenses are classified in the state of Qatar according to the following types. Motorcycle driving license. Authorizes its holder to drive a motorcycle with an engine capacity exceeding 50 cubic centimeters, moves with 2 wheels or more, and is not designed in the shape of a car. Light motor vehicle driving license. Authorizes its holder to drive different types of private light motor vehicles, private transport vehicles of total weight not exceeding 5 tons, and light buses with a passenger capacity not exceeding 25 passengers. Heavy motor vehicle driving license. Bus. Authorizes its holder to drive buses with a passenger capacity exceeding more than 25 passengers, including the driver. Med truck. Authorizes its holder to drive heavy motor vehicles of total weight that does not exceed 13 tons and not less than 5 tons, and buses with a capacity of more than 25 passengers. Trailer. Authorizes its holder to drive heavy motor vehicles of total weight exceeds 13 tons, in addition to driving buses or med trucks. Equipment driving license. Forklift. Authorizes its holder to drive forklift. Loader, bulldozer. Authorizes its holder to drive loader and less equipment vehicles, including automatic picker, grader, dumper, tractor, and similar light motor vehicles registered and licensed by the General Administration of Traffic. Crane. Authorizes its holder to drive crane and less equipment vehicles, including service crane, telescopic crane, lights maintenance crane, and other similar motor vehicles registered and licensed by the General Administration of Traffic. Excavator. Authorizes its holder to drive excavator and less equipment vehicles, including roller, milling machine, bulldozer, tracked crane, launcher, tracked excavator, in addition to tracked light motor vehicles or those who move on iron tire, which are registered and licensed by the General Administration of Traffic. Handicapped light motor vehicle driving licenses. Authorizes its handicapped holder to drive a vehicle with special specifications. Temporary driving license for vehicles driving learning. It includes the following types: motorcycle driving learning license, light motor vehicle driving learning license, heavy motor vehicle driving learning license, motor vehicles and equipment driving learning license, handicap special specifications vehicles driving learning license. Driving licensee obligations. Licensee must hold the license while driving and to show it to the police officers on demand. The owner or the possessor of the vehicle is not allowed to entrust its driving to a person who does not hold a driving license entitling him to drive the vehicle. It is not allowed for anyone to get more than a driving license of one type. It is also not allowed to use a driving license or to permit others to use it in a manner violating the law or for illegal benefit. It is not allowed for others to use or accept it in cases not prescribed by the law. In case of loss or damage of the driving license, the holder has to inform Traffic Department or one of its nearest branches. He may apply to the licensing authority for lost or damaged replacement after the payment of the prescribed fee. If the lost license was found, it should be returned to the licensing authority. General conditions for obtaining driving licenses. Age requirement to grant driving licenses for motorcycle, light vehicle or handicaps. The applicant should be attained the age of 18 years. Heavy vehicle, motor vehicles, equipment or public vehicle, the applicant age must be at least 21 years. In all cases, the proof of age is by the birth certificate, official copy thereof, or any evidence approved by General Traffic Department. Medical fitness to grant driving licenses of any type. The medical fitness of the applicant must be proved by healthiness of vision and body. The healthiness of vision is determined by eye ground, vision power, and distinguishing of colors. The competent medical authority in Ministry of Interior shall identify the diseases and disabilities that prevent granting the driving license. It shall also determine to the applicant to use eyeglasses or any other medical means to obtain the necessary vision power, provided that the healthiness of eye ground. Medical examination will be performed on the form prepared by the Traffic Department. Fixed on it a photo of the applicant who is required to be medically examined. The examination will be performed by the authority designated by Traffic Department. Blood group must be specified on the medical examination form and on the license. Passing driving tests. Theoretical test. It contains traffic rules, ethics, signs, signals, basic principles of operation and method of use of vehicle, and principles of first aid. Practical test. In the light of the result of the theoretical test and passing of the applicant, he will be sent directly to the practical test. This will be done over 2 stages. First stage, field test, inside training field. This will be done by conducting practical driving tests inside training field to know the ability of the applicant to execute the specified exercises. Second stage, street test. Applicant will be tested practically in the street, and by passing this test, he will be granted a full driving license. In street test, the ability of the applicant to perform the following will be identified. Start the engine. Move the vehicle forward and backward. Use the gear. Normal and sudden stops on slopes. Queuing the vehicle along the pavement between other vehicles, on slopes, between specified marks and lines. Get out of the route to another route, turning right and left. Use the necessary signals at the appropriate time when change the movement situations. Commit with traffic signals, marks, lines, and the signals performed by the driver of the other vehicle in the range of attention and respond to traffic instructions and orders, crossing the crossroads, squares, and roundabouts, turning the vehicle in a limited space of the road. Familiarity with using vehicle lights, side and internal mirrors. Fees payment. After passing the test, designated fees should be paid to obtain the license. Procedures for obtaining driving licenses. Qataris and GCC nationals. 2 recent personal photos size 4 cm by 6 cm. Copy of ID card, personal ID card. Medical examination form approved by the certified doctor. Residents and visitors. 2 recent personal photos size 4 cm by 6 cm. Copy of applicant passport and residence permit or personal ID card or visa if he is a visitor. Medical examination form approved by the certified doctor. No objection letter from the sponsor or signature and stamp of the sponsor on the form. Copy of company registration or copy of sponsor ID card for personal sponsorships. Handicaps. 2 recent personal photos size 4 cm by 6 cm. Copy of personal ID card for Qataris and GCC nationals and copy for personal ID cards for residents or the residence stamped on the passport. Medical certificate specifying type of disability issued from the competent medical body determined by traffic department. For non-Qataris, no objection letter from the sponsor or signature and stamp of the sponsor on the form, and copy of company registration or copy of sponsor ID card for personal sponsorships. International driving licenses. International driving licenses are valid in the state of Qatar held by the expats, tourists, visitors, and passers-by, issued in accordance with the Vienna Convention 1968, for a period of their validity without prejudice to the purpose of tourism visit or transit. Their holders are allowed to drive vehicles licensed by those licenses to be driven only. Renewal of the license while the license holder is in Qatar is not valid. Provisions of international, regional, and bilateral agreements are applicable to driving licenses that are subject to provisions of international, regional, or bilateral agreements to which the state is a part of. It is allowed to residents of GCC of Gulf Arab states to drive in the state of Qatar with the driving licenses issued from the state of residence, provided that they are valid. Visitors and tourists. Traffic Department may allow visitors and tourists who hold non-Qatari driving licenses to drive vehicles according to the following conditions. To visit the Traffic Department within 15 days from the date of entry to the state of Qatar to approve the license. Non-violation of the purpose of the visit or tourism. The license is valid. Validity and renewal of driving licenses. Renewal of driving licenses. Driving license must be renewed no later than 30 days following its date of expiry. It is not allowed to drive the vehicle on the road without renewal of the driving license. Validity of driving licenses. Validity of the driving licenses of all kinds is 10 years for Qataris from date of issuance, and 5 years for non-Qataris, excluding public driving licenses, which is 1 year from the date of issuance, and temporary driving licenses, which is 3 months from the date of issuance. The renewal is for similar period after the payment of the designated fees. Driving guidelines and prohibitions. For an individual to be fit to drive a vehicle, he should be physically and medically fit. Therefore, he must avoid some harmful behaviors and always be ready to deal with different circumstances that may be encountered during driving, as follows. Physical fitness and vision power. Physical fitness and vision power are very important during driving. They are connected to each other. Even normal health problems that the man may encounter, such as cold or flu, or even headache, have an effect on senses unevenly from one person to another. Hence, these problems reduce the concentration and response to the situations during driving. If the driver feels at any time that he is not in a good health, he has to stop driving and let another person to drive. And if this is not possible, he will drive accompanied by another person with great concentration and attention and avoid dangerous places. Anger during driving. Many drivers may make mistakes on the road, and some persons will be angry when seeing actions of other drivers. This anger may lead to act violently, and the driver can avoid being a victim of anger and violation through the following. When observing any mistake made by others during driving, he has to remember that he may also make a mistake. Keep calm at a safe distance between your vehicle and other vehicles. Drive cooperatively, considering other road users. Treat other drivers as you would like them to treat you. Confusion during driving is the inability of the driver to avoid hazards upon occurrence or involving himself in situations that subject him and others to danger. Main causes of confusion during driving are inability of the driver to predict the danger resulting from certain actions of other users of the road in a proper way. Lack of sufficient experience in certain situations in order to avoid the danger when it happens. Failure to read or understand traffic signs in a good way. Failure to read or understand road markings in a good way. Failure to read emergency situations in a good way. Lack of monitoring and collection of information from the road. Lack of knowledge of traffic law with regard to dealing with the road and its users. Lack of concentration and absence of mind. Drowsiness during driving. Drivers sitting behind steering wheel who have no enough sleep subject themselves and other innocent users of the road to death. Collisions can occur when the driver is tired and fall asleep while sitting behind the steering wheel. Loss of concentration as a result of driving for very long period without rest. The driver must stop driving and take some sleep and rest if any of the following starts to occur. Yawning continuously. Deviation out of the lane. Turning a blind eye or foggy in his vision. Facing problems with his head in a straight position. Increase or decrease the speed inadvertently. Not remembering the last few kilometers of the road. Fatigue and stress during driving. Driving under the effect of fatigue and stress forms danger to the driver and other users of the road. So the driver, when feeling fatigue or stress, has to stop and take some rest. To avoid the feeling of fatigue and stress while driving, drivers must act as follows. Sleep well before start moving with the vehicle. Avoid driving for long periods at the end of the day. Avoid driving between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. Share driving with others if possible. Stop for 15 minutes every 2 hours. Stop the vehicle when noting indications of fatigue. Avoid eating fatty food and to eat snacks. Drink large amount of water, as drought may lead to fatigue. Avoid excessive drinking of coffee or sweet soft drinks. Stop before feeling tired. The effect of alcohol on drivers while driving. Alcohol is a painkiller that leads to the reduction of the activity and the vitality and affects the driver's abilities to drive safely because it slows down the speed of brain functions, which weaken the ability to respond and take a quick reaction. Affects the driver's estimation of the speed with which he is driving and that of the neighboring vehicles in the distance that separates him from them, pedestrians or other things on the road. Gives false confidence, which may lead to the possibility of accidents as the driver believes that his skills in driving is better than in reality. It increases the difficulty to do more than two things at the same time. While the driver's concentration is focused on guiding the steering wheel, he may miss the view of the traffic lights or the vehicles coming from the side roads. It makes the driver feel sleepy. Effect of narcotic drugs on drivers while driving. Medicines and narcotic drugs taken by the driver without supervision of the doctor affect the ability of the driver to drive in an appropriate way. It could have a negative effect on the concentration, mood and the ability to take decisions and the reactions while driving. So, be careful not to take medicines with labels that warns to avoid driving when taken. And to read the medicine prescription or seek a doctor consultation about the effect of the medicine on driving. Medicines that have an effect on the driver while driving. Some medicines for the treatment of blood pressure, nausea, allergies, inflammations, and fungal infections. Tranquilizers, painkillers, and sleeping pills. Some diet pills. Some cold and flu medicines. The effect of mental distraction on driving a vehicle. How the driver reduces distraction phenomenon. Decreasing distraction means decreasing the risks of collision. As the driver cannot do more to reduce sources of distraction outside his vehicle while driving, so sources of distraction can be reduced inside his vehicle as follows. Avoid browsing mobile phone or making a call while driving. Collect all unfixed things inside the vehicle and put them in a bag, box, or in the trunk before driving. Ask passengers to keep quiet and not to divert your attention. Stop turning the radio or switch on the CD player while driving. Do not be occupied by looking outside the road, for example, reading an advertising poster, traffic accident, etc. Effect of using mobile phones while driving. Mobile phones make drivers busy and make them commit mistakes that lead to doom or make their reactions slow. Common mistakes that may occur as a result of using the mobile phone are To enter and exit lanes on multi-lane roads or deviate without attention in a wrong way. Unstable driving, example, increasing or decreasing the speed without a reason. To face difficulty in keeping the track distances appropriate with vehicles at the front. To face mistakes in estimating distances and be aware of the safe gaps while moving. To avoid traffic accidents resulting from the use of mobile phones, the driver must follow the following. To get used to use the mobile phone only when the vehicle is completely stopped. To ask any of the passengers to answer the incoming calls on the driver's phone while driving. Switch the phone to receive voice messages instead of answering the calls. Driving in glare of sun ray. The climate in Qatar is very hot and sunny in most times of the year, but it is hard for the driver to see the road in the front when driving facing the glare of the sun ray at sunrise or sunset. The driver has to follow the following guidelines while driving in the glare of the sun ray. Reduce the speed at these times and circumstances. Pay attention to traffic motion and potential risks around him. Put sunglasses when driving and facing the sunlight and use the sun visor to reduce glare of the sun ray. Driving in rainy weather. Rain makes road surface slippery, especially at first drops of the rainfall. With more rainfall, the contact of the tires with the road surface decreases, which needs longer distance to stop when the road surface is slippery. Vehicle sliding. It may be difficult to know when the vehicle is subject to sliding, and the driver may feel that the steering wheel does not respond and the vehicle is swaying. Sliding is occurred as a result of common factors including the speed, tires pressure, tires condition, and the road surface condition. To avoid vehicle sliding, the driver has to reduce the speed to less than 80 km per hour when necessary, where exceeding the speed greatly increases chances of vehicle sliding. To avoid this, the driver has to reduce the speed to less than 80 km per hour, drive in the lane of the vehicle in front of the driver to keep maintaining away from it by a sufficient safe distance, and if possible, try to drive in the middle lane and remain in it because water tends to gather first in the outer lanes. Grasp the steering wheel firmly and avoid braking or increasing the speed. Reduce your speed gradually by releasing the accelerator. When feeling that your vehicle is under control, brake gently or increase the speed. Guidelines to be followed by the driver in case of vehicle sliding. Switch on the warning lights. Reduce your speed gradually by releasing the accelerator. When feeling that your vehicle is under control, brake gently or increase the speed. Look at the mirrors to know if there are other vehicles approaching too close. Guidelines during rain. Vision may be difficult in heavy rain, and the road may be flooded with water. Droplets from other vehicles may cause the loss of vision by covering the windscreen and windows. In these conditions, the driver has to use the windscreen wipers to obtain clearer vision. Reduce the speed to a great extent. In very heavy rain, vehicle must be stopped at the side of the road and wait until the rainfall stops. Switch on vehicle front lights. Driving in fog. Fog causes the reduction of visibility level, and driving conditions become dangerous. If the driver could not postpone his trip until settlement of fog, he has to follow the following guidelines. Reduce the speed because as you drive at slower speed, you will have better time to stop and avoid danger. Use low headlights or fog lights where vision is hard to the driver and other users of the road in heavy fog. Fog intensity may vary from light cloud to heavy cover, and when the driver enters into fog, he should look at vehicle mirrors and use the foot brake gently so that his vehicle lights warn other drivers. Make sure that high light is not lit by mistake, because high lights make the light higher inside fog and make vision harder. Keep watching the speedometer, because studies indicate that some drivers are used to drive in fog conditions and gradually they increase their speed. If the driver cannot see the road in front of him for more than 12 meters, he has to reduce his speed to less than 40 kilometers per hour. Use the windscreen wipers and humidity remover. Beware of other drivers who do not use their headlights. Reduce and adjust speed continuously. Keep a sufficient distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. Use the right edge of the road as a guide while driving. Driving in sandstorms. Sand forms danger on the road, where stability of tires on the road surface decreases, as well as it is hard to know the edge of the road, and dust flying from the vehicles headed to the driver may block unexpected risks. For example, other vehicles, slope or corner, and the dust spreading on the windows may reduce the visionability of the driver. So in sandstorm conditions, the driver has to do the following. Reduce the speed to be suitable to the condition and the level of sandstorms. And to ensure security, the driver has to stop. Keep a safe distance from other vehicles. Drive at safe speed suitable to road conditions, because the driver may need a longer distance to stop. It would be better to not drive the vehicle in hard vision because of weather conditions during day hours, except by using the following light. Convergence light, 2 rear lights and number plate light. Switch glare light to convergence light to prevent dazzling vision. Any red light must not appear in the front of the vehicle. Driving at night. However may be the driver's skills in driving, sometimes there are circumstances that require more effort, attention and concentration, such as driving the vehicle at night. So it is recommended to take the following into consideration when driving at night. Make sure of the cleanliness of the windscreen, as if it is not clean, it may lead to eye fatigue as a result of dispersion of light. Don't use the high beam lights when meeting others. It is better to use the low beam light inside cities and the high beam light on the outside roads, except in the following cases. 1. If there is a vehicle near ahead of you. 2. If there is a vehicle in the opposite side. When any other driver attempts to harass you, reduce your speed and keep at the right lane until he overtakes you. Avoid looking at the dazzling light emitted from the opposing direction that strains the eyes. Don't turn on the internal lights of the vehicle while driving except if necessary. In case of overtaking, use the low light in order not to confuse the others in front of you and adhere with correct overtaking procedures. Never use the horn at night, and when needed, use the intermittent high beam light to warn others.